90s, you're Toyota. GM reaches out to you about making a new brand of GM rebadged vehicles, right? GM wants to expand to younger buyers who want something more cheap and who can't afford true American cars. Who would want to because they suck anyway. Anyway, my bias is not important here. So, they reach out to you about using the Toyota Corolla, and you say, hey, wait a minute, we don't want your car to compete with our car because you are getting it for less. You know what I mean. They don't want the Geo Prism to overshadow the actual American Toyota Corolla, even though they make money off of every single one that they sell. So, Toyota sells them the Corolla Sprinter. So, the Torino AE86, you may remember that from Fast and Furious, the drift car, yeah. Imagine the Corolla Sprinter is the cheaper version of that, right? So, like, imagine the Torino as the XRS, and the Sprinter is the base, right? Hubcap's the cheap car. It's essentially just the Japanese Corolla with the 3-speed transmission. That's right, only 3 speeds. That's all. I mean, that's Toyota, And you got the Geo Prism. It was essentially just a really, really cheap car. Now, I am using a US Corolla here just because, come on, it's easier to find photos of. Don't make me dig for Japanese cars that were made 30 years ago. So, essentially, it was just a Toyota Corolla, but Geo. So, yeah. They were made for a while until 2002, and they were then called Chevrolet Prisms. A little bit how like one of the cars today would be transferred from one brand name to another after one specific brand failed. So, the Geo Prism was essentially just taking a Toyota and rebadging it as a GM Geo Chevrolet thing. But this wouldn't be the last time Toyota would do this. It was the first, but it wasn't the last. In 2005, Toyota wanted to develop a small hatchback, right? The sedan wars were over. It was 2005. The dust had finally settled, and Toyota thought it would be an amazing time to make some sort of hatchback, just because hatchbacks are selling. Toyota sees the increasing number and demand in hatchbacks, and they say, hey, we want to make a hatchback. Now, Toyota and GM have a rather good relationship at this point, considering Toyota is one of the few car companies to tolerate GM's antics, and GM has a problematic brand called Pontiac that they want to revive. So, GM says, Toyota, we know that you're a rather small car company, which, of course, satire. No, they were a very big car company. Toyota, we know that you're looking to develop the Toyota Corolla Matrix. What if you give us the Matrix to make to the Pontiac, and we can make it together? So, they came out with the Pontiac Vibe. That's right, the Pontiac Vibe, a lot of people already knew this, was essentially just a Toyota Corolla Matrix, but Pontiacified. But it's deeper than that, right? Now, if we look at the older, first example, the Toyota Corolla Sprinter and the Geo Prism, the Prism was just a rebadge, right? It was just Toyota making the Sprinter, sending it over to GM. They took the Toyota logo off, slapped the Geo logo, and then sold it. This wasn't that. In fact, for a rebadge, it was pretty good. But it wasn't a rebadge. That's right. Both cars were actually made and developed together. This just wasn't a rebadge. The Pontiac wasn't a rebadge. Neither car was a rebadge of the other car. This was a rebadge, but not a rebadge, because both cars were developed together. That's right. The Pontiac Vibe was not a rebadge of the Toyota Corolla Matrix. Yes, they were the same car, but neither came first. They both came out together, and they were both engineered by both companies working together. This was one of the first times Toyota would sincerely, Toyota was very intolerant of American car companies, just because, they were eating their market share, and it was very competitive, especially when Toyota first entered the American market, so they didn't really want to, use the competition for many other cars, right? I mean, it makes sense, I wouldn't want to either. But Toyota finally decided, hey, why don't we co-design this car together, and that'll be fine. So they did, and that's how we got the best Pontiac, the best GM car. A lot of people own. I actually really liked the Vibe. I liked the wheel covers. I thought they were really sporty, and it showed off Pontiac's unique design. And here's my favorite part about, it's not a rebadge. Again, I keep wanting to say rebadge. It's not a rebadge. By the way, a lot of people were saying that the Corolla Matrix doesn't really look like the Corolla. I think it kind of fits in there. I think they look pretty similar. I mean, I personally like the styling of the Matrix more just because, that's me. I'm weird. I like hatchbacks. I'm weird. So, essentially, it wasn't a rebadge. And if it was a rebadge, it was a damn good one. Well, I mean, I know for a fact it wasn't. But, let's say it was indeed a rebadge. They put a lot of engineering into this. I mean, the Pontiac looks like a Pontiac and the Toyota looks like a Toyota. The Pontiac has that classic Pontiac grille and that plastic cladding that made the Pontiac look more off-roady, right? The Toyota didn't need something to make it look tough. They didn't need something to make it look reliable like Pontiac did because they already had something better, a reputation. So Toyota just, made it look like a Corolla. People bought it. People loved it. Scotty Kilmer owns one, for Christ's sake. If Scotty Kilmer owns a car, yeah, it better be good, right? So, this is one of the best cars Toyota ever made, and it was made in collaboration with an American car company. Now, if you're wondering, hey, well, that's great, I want to go buy a Pontiac Vibe, I'm sure if you're, savvy enough in the automotive world to watch me, right, a small content creator on cars, you don't just accidentally stumble on me, you had to have searched for something car-related. They're not just going to put me on the front page, are they? So, essentially, if you're that savvy enough, you probably know what happened to Pontiac. In 2010, they killed Pontiac. But there's something weird about that also. So you may are wondering about Toyota's motives, right? I like to look into car companies' motives, what they were thinking, what they wanted, and what they wanted out of this deal, what they got out of this deal, and what they thought of the other car company. Well, I think the Toyota Volts is a perfect example. The Volts, yeah, this is a Toyota. It's a Pontiac, but yeah, that's right. Toyota, exclusively in Japan, they wanted to bring the Matrix to Japan, right? Because Japan, pretty big car market, and they wanted to bring, this small little hatchback over. That way it could compete with other boxy cars, right? But instead of bringing the Corolla, they brought the Pontiac. That's right. Toyota trusted so much in Pontiac that they brought it over, despite the fact that, I'm just going to say it here, I feel like Michael in The Good Place, this is weird, this makes no sense, I completely understand the absurdity of this. Toyota, in its home market of Japan, chose the American version of its car rather than the Japanese version. That's weird in itself, but I think that the Toyota Volts perfectly shows off how trusting Toyota and Pontiac were. Toyota knew that the Pontiac wasn't made poorly because it saw how it was made, and they trusted Pontiac enough to bring it back home to Japan, where Toyota had a lot of honor. When they were establishing Lexus, I read Against All Odds, the story of the Toyota Motor Corporation, the family that created it. It's on my nightstand right now. Toyota, anything that they did might have brought the Toyota family shame in the early ages of Toyota car company, car makers. So, I mean, not that, they had to worry about bringing shame, but it still was a big deal for your home market of Japan to bring the American version of your car. And I think this perfectly just states how much Toyota trusted in Pontiac. So this wasn't some loosey-goosey deal. Oh, Pontiac's failing, so we need to borrow your hatchback. Toyota, please let us rebadge it. We'll suck your toes. No, Toyota actually wanted to develop it with Pontiac. This wasn't just a deal. Toyota and Pontiac had an actual relationship. Not like dating, you know what I mean? I'm not trying to personify this too heavily, but Toyota, instead of the usual rebadging, right? Holden and the Holden Cruze is just a rebadge of the Chevrolet Cruze. Both companies don't really care about each other, but Holden needed a car. Chevrolet had a car. Chevrolet said, hey, take it, shove it down you. You know what I mean? Like, it's usually not something honorable and something great when a car company does a rebadge. But like I said, Toyota trusted Pontiac enough to co-develop this car and then bring it to Japan, their home market. So I think this shows that the Toyota Corolla Matrix and Pontiac Vibe was something special, right? During this time period, oh, you hear that? It's coming down. I hope we don't lose power. Then the recording will go out the window. But essentially, Toyota, this was one of the first times, and this is amazing, right? Because remember, the Geo Prism and Toyota Corolla, which is what a lot of people like to talk about, that rebadge, was not trusting. That was just Toyota saying, hey, fine, you can have it, just pay us money, we don't care, right? Just get out of my door, take the damn car, and leave. Walk away, go away. This was actually Toyota wanting to work with Pontiac. This was one of the first times a Japanese car company wanted to work with an American car company and work together. And I think that's amazing. I like the Toyota Corolla. If you're cynical and you just want to look at it as a car and nothing else, no relationship, didn't matter, it was just purely, a car. That's all it is. It doesn't stand for anything. It doesn't resemble anything. It is just simply a car. Fine, you do that. Look at it. I mean, it's a simple, fun, sporty hatchback. What's to complain about? I mean, of course, automotive journalists found something to complain. It's not fast enough. The XRS isn't sporty enough. They always find something to complain about, I swear to God. Anyway, essentially, the Toyota Corolla Matrix marked a new point in history, a changing point, something that could absolutely defer the point in history, defer what happened, right? Because we all know how it went down. Toyota entered in the 60s. They beat General Motors on price. They beat American car companies on price and reliability. In the end, in the 1990s, they officially asserted their dominance over the American car companies, and the American car companies were mad at Toyota for letting themselves sneak down to such a point where they could be overtaken by such a small car company. But this showed a different path. What if GM and Toyota had continued to work together for longer and longer periods of time? Well, we'll never know. Because in 2010, the last year of the Pontiac Vibe, where it got a slight refresh, I mean, nothing really changed about the Vibe or the Matrix. I mean, it was still the same idea. They just had slightly different interiors, you know? Like this one, ugh, terrible photo. There we go. Just slight interior changes, like this top plasticky bit and this bottom part were officially now one piece, which I think was uglier, but I mean, it's fine. It doesn't really change anything. You can see this was also more smooth. Instead of the more rugged looking, off-roady looking, my personal opinion, better looking Pontiac Vibe, they made it smooth, you know, kind of like a smooth-brained one, you know, just, you know, kind of that Chevrolet Cobalt styling that I never really liked from the thousands, you know. But Toyota also kind of did the same, you know, the rugged-looking-ish Matrix turned into your Dove body wash bar of soap, which Toyota sold for a while. I believe it got refreshed in 2009. And then thunderstruck, which is convenient for me because it's pouring rain outside. Essentially, Pontiac died, and this partnership between Toyota and Pontiac ripped up in flames. GM didn't want Toyota anymore. Pontiac division wanted Toyota, but GM, the parents, didn't like Toyota around. So when Pontiac died, you know, it wasn't like they kicked Toyota out. I mean, it was a graceful ending, but they stopped working with Toyota. And another partnership between GM and Toyota wouldn't come for ever, I believe, unless there's some, like, Japanese thing. You know, I know a lot about cars, but I don't know everything about cars. You know, maybe there was some weird fluke where the Chevrolet Cobalt was accidentally the Corolla Torino or something. I don't, you know, cars are wild. You're going to learn that you're going to learn that very quickly watching my channel. But unfortunately, this could have changed the course of history. If Japanese car companies, first being Toyota, opened to working with American car companies, the entire slot of history could have changed. It could have had a better outcome. Maybe, just maybe, American car companies would be doing a little bit better right now. And maybe there wouldn't be such a fight between the two. Like, this partnership was so promising. And yet, in the end, Pontiac had to be killed during the crisis. You know, if you don't know, in 2008, the market crashed. If you don't know, the word crashed doesn't mean great. I remember things were so tough back. No one was buying any cars. It was really tough for the car brands and even tougher for the people living through it. Trust me, it wasn't the Great Depression. It wasn't like people were eating at dumpsters, but I'm saying it was a real rough for a good period of time there. That was very bad. But so what happened to the Matrix? Like I said, cars were selling slower. Pontiac was gone. They weren't building this with Toyota anymore. So did Toyota just throw down the rag and say, well, you were made for a good 5 years, you were made for a good 5 years, Matrix. Oh yeah, by the way, the Matrix cut off the name Corolla. It was just the Matrix now. It was the Toyota Corolla Matrix initially. Anyway, so did Toyota throw in the towel and just say, you want to know what XRS? You want to know what Matrix? Out the door forevermore. You were a fun idea in 2004, but you want to know it now, you're gone. No! They redesigned it again? I'm sorry. Yeah, that's right. The Matrix got a second generation? Really? You're telling me that the Matrix, Toyota didn't kill the Matrix? There was an economic crisis. The car company that Toyota was building this with went bankrupt, and yet Toyota kept the Matrix? darn tootin'. And I actually think this was the best Matrix ever. Why? Because it still had that Toyota, that modern, bar of soap look with being aggressive. I think that front grille was ingenious. The fog lights being part of that main grille assembly, I think that's beautiful. I mean, I really think that these were gorgeous. And also, you cannot tell me that these Sport Edition wheels, they're to die for. I'm so sorry. There are a very few wheels that I swoon over. The Subaru Impreza wheels from 2012, the just standard ones. Oh, those are great. There's just, sometimes I come across a hubcap or a wheel that I like a lot. Usually it looks pretty much like this. So Toyota kept the Matrix, but not for too long. Yeah, that's right. Toyota ended up killing the Matrix in 2013. But just for a little treat, I brought up the manual. So, let's just take a look at it. An environment in which something develops is how the dictionary defines the word matrix. It's no coincidence that the name also describes the 2012 Toyota Matrix. So this is the 2012 one. You can see they were leaning pretty hard into the sportiness. Not bad, actually. So you can see, be hip and cool with us. Tape photos to your wall. Yeah, dude, because that's what kids do. Your choices are win-win. It was just a good car. You can see it also got that grill shape in the back, these fun sporty wheels, and it got all-wheel drive. That's right, the Matrix got a pretty good all-wheel drive system. A very good all-wheel drive system, which was surprising considering how little Toyota appeared to care about this thing. By the way, I love that. I love that so much. 2012. What a great year. Anyway, it got a nice radio. It got an overall really nice interior. That sporty Toyota steering wheel. That weird, pill-style gauge cluster with these sporty Toyota vents. And look. You cannot tell me that candy apple red isn't to die for. Whoa. Yeah. VVTi. 16 valve. Ooh. Cloth seats, manually adjustable. It's a Toyota Matrix. Come on. Plenty of space for storage and crap like that. Look, it even had, airbags. You could either get these hubcaps. So, if you don't know, Toyota hubcaps are famously ripped off by AutoZone. Well, not directly by AutoZone, but by their manufacturers and then sold. This was a version of the 2009 Toyota Camry rim that never really made it. Everyone either bought the cheapest one or the nicest one. Hate to tell you. So that was the manual. So what happened with the idea of the Matrix? Because if you know Toyota, they don't just often cancel models outright. They usually live on in some other model. Yeah. Yeah, you thought they killed off the Matrix. Nuh-uh. No, Toyota saved the Matrix, and the Matrix is still being sold right now. What is the Matrix? A Corolla hatchback. What is the Scion IM? A Corolla hatchback. The Matrix was aimed at young people. The entire Scion brand was aimed at young people. This is how Toyota got to quietly kill off the Matrix and yet bring up a new champion. Now, Scion, again, this happened twice. Cars withstanding car companies closing. So the Scion IM was strictly a Scion. It was developed by Toyota exclusively for Scion. Scion shuttered its doors. Oh, it's really coming down out there. Jeez. Scion shuttered its doors, and what happened to the IM? Toyota made it a Toyota! That's right! 2 times in a row! 2 times in a row! Car companies have closed that have held the Corolla hatchback, and Toyota's brought it to their main lineup. Twice. Pontiac closed, and yet Toyota kept the Matrix. Scion closed, and Toyota kept the Corolla IM. If that doesn't speak about how much this car meant to Toyota, I don't know what does. This was still amazing. It's still an amazing option today. A beautiful, sporty, fun interior, great steering wheel, and one of the best styling eras of Toyota I think they've ever had. It came in fun green, it came in fun red, it came in sporty colors and stuff. This was the car that would carry on the Matrix. Now, you may say, the Matrix has had such a great history, right? First, starting off in 2005, being one of the first ever Japanese cars to be in collaboration with an American car company. Then, the car company that developed it with Toyota completely shuttered, went bankrupt, and Toyota continued to sell the Matrix. Toyota quietly killed off the Matrix and secretly brought it back under another name. Then that car company closed, and Toyota brought it back to the main lineup. And then, oh yeah, I have the pamphlet, yeah. Oh, Toyota, isn't this just so nice? Like, the classy interior. It was just a good car. This is perfectly modern. Like, I really do think Toyota is one of the best used car makers forever. I mean, they're great at making cars. I mean, every single car that they make is an amazing used car. You know, Pontiacs make shitty used cars. Why? Because they fall apart every 10 seconds. I can guarantee you, Toyotas are one of the best and most reliable car companies ever. Right? And guess what? In 2019, the Corolla hatchback came out. This is, again, the third time the Corolla Matrix has lived on. So don't be sad because the Corolla Matrix was discontinued. It's still here, guys. The Corolla hatchback is still the Matrix. It's still alive right now. You can buy it right now. And, I mean, I love it. Look at it. It's attractive. It's everything the Matrix wanted to be. The Matrix was held down by Toyota's styling, right? Toyota didn't want to style things too much. They didn't want to offend anybody. Now it's free like a phoenix, dancing around in the sky of fire, doing exactly what the Matrix wanted to do. And you want to know what? I'm happy about it. So with that, thank you for watching. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. And that's how the Matrix lived on 3 different times after being discontinued.